discussion. Why don't
Yes.
you go ahead and talk to us about the latest stuff out of this Gotham Knights video game, Brett Miro?
Alrighty. So, the developers of Arkham Origins, WB Montreal, have been working on a new game called Gotham Knights. It was revealed a few years ago. It was supposed to come out, I think, maybe last year. It got delayed, as everything did because of the pandemic. But today, May 10th, as when we're recording this, there was new gameplay released. And basically, this game, the best way to kind of set the frame for it. So it is actually not continuing off the Arkham series. It's kind of its own, I guess, like universe. But it is a universe in which Batman has been killed. Supposedly, I guess that is kind of where they're going from. So the game features Robin, our Tim Drake Robin, Nightwing, Dick Grayson, Jason Todd as Red Hood, and Barbara Gordon as Batgirl. So you can play as one of the four characters. It also features 2-player co-op, and they showed more gameplay today. So the gameplay looks very much like Arkham Knight and the Arkham series. So if you're into that fighting style, it very much was giving me those vibes. I do understand the game is a bit more of an RPG though, so there is going to be like skill trees and like leveling up, and I imagine there will be like encounters you have with enemies or bosses where you might want to get your level to meet theirs. Although in the gameplay today, they didn't focus too much on that as they did in the past, and I didn't really see like any numbers flying off people or enemy levels. So I wonder if that could have possibly changed in the last year or so. We do have a release date. They announced that in March this year. So just a reminder, that's October 25th. So we'll have it just in time for Halloween, which is a perfect time for a game like this. And the gameplay today was really cool, though. They showed Nightwing using his Eskrima sticks, and that was pretty awesome. He can do a couple of like elemental attacks. Red Hood obviously is a ranged fighter, and he uses non-lethal bullets, guys, non-lethal to take out enemies. So yeah, but it looked really really cool. Game looks good, and we did have a question or a comment from one of our great listeners, Tavo. And part of the announcement today when they revealed this new trailer was that originally this game was going to come out on PS4, Xbox One, and then the new consoles, PS5 and Xbox Series S and X. And they announced today that they will not be releasing them on PS4 and Xbox One. And Tava wanted to know how we feel about that. And my opinion here is it's definitely a bummer for those who have not been able to grab a PS5 or an Xbox Series S or X yet.
Like me.
Yeah. Although I have to say, they are still tough to get, but they're definitely a lot easier to get than they were like a year ago. So I think if you really give it a good shot for like a week or two and just like check Twitter and like when there's going to be drops, I really feel like you could probably start to land one. They are very expensive though too, so there is also the cost, factor to kind of put in there. Not everybody has that kind of money, so it is a bummer for those people. But I think ultimately, having to release the game on PS4 and Xbox One and have to make the game so that it could scale down to work on those systems ultimately was going to hinder the game. Yeah. And we've actually seen that quite a bit this generation already. There have definitely been some games. A recent one I'll put out there, Horizon Forbidden West, which was the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn on PS5. On PS4, and then they released obviously Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel, but that came out on both PS4 and PS5. And while the game looked and ran amazing on PS5, you could definitely tell that they could have went a little further. I think if they didn't have to also make it run on the PS4, the game was very iterative. It was like basically took everything the PS4 original game did and just did it like a little bit better. But there wasn't any really big sweeping gameplay changes or enhancements. And I think, having to make for the last gen kind of held it back. And I have a feeling that is really what they ran into here. Trust me, more people have PS4s and Xbox Ones right now than the new systems because of the shortage. So they didn't just want to cut off, that money stream, that revenue stream. There was a lot of money to be made on there. But I think ultimately they got in there, and especially with trying to incorporate co-op in a big open world game like this, where there's a lot of enemies and a lot of stuff going on, I think it was the right call to make. So it does stink for those that were waiting for that last gen version, but ultimately I think the game is going to be better for it. So, that's just my 2 cents. You might not agree. You might say, "Hey, screw them. They promised that." But that's really the truth of the matter. When you have to make a game to work on 2 generations of consoles, and at this point, the consoles have been out for about a year and a half, almost 2 years by the time this game actually releases. It's
Yeah.
time to cut the cord. Most past generations, we used to have a nice clean cutoff where it was just like, okay, listen, the new system's out, all the new games come out for that. And
Yeah.
I know things have been getting blurry the last 2 generations, just with like the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X and like these like mid-generation console upgrades. So things have gotten a little like blurry there. But for me, I like console generations. I kind of just like when they say, "Hey, it's done. Everything new's coming out for the new one." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
That's me. I know some people don't like that, but that for me, it just makes more sense. So you don't have these
Yeah.
hindered versions releasing on the console. So
Yeah.
that is my 2 cents, Tabo. I hope that answers your question, and I hope you are not one of those people that are burned by this. I am, there's a lot of great accounts on Twitter that you can follow. That's actually how I got my PS5. Also, I should say, if you're looking for an Xbox Series S or X, they seem like pretty easy to get. It seems like they have more stock available than Sony does with the PS5. And I mean, I got a Series S, no problem. Like, I think you could just go on right now, like log on to any website and get a Series S, which is like the less powerful one, but it runs everything really great. The X might be a little more trouble, but it seems like those seem to be pretty easy to nab. The PS5 still is, I think, a little tricky. But if you give it a good shot, you follow the right accounts, just follow the drops, you will get one. I believe in you.
Thank you. I'm going to take that personally. I hope you believe in me, Brett, because I'm one of
Yeah.
the people who needs to do that sort of thing. I
Yeah.
want a PS5. I just had every time I've gone to get one, they're sold out, and I got to spend 1,000 to get one. So I've been
Yeah.
waiting to get one, and this Gotham Knights thing maybe is just another incentive, another reason, another reminder that it's time for me to just do this already.
Yes.
Um,